Hello and welcome. My name is Sharon, and this is the first video in a series about basic Bible principles and the application of those principles to our everyday lives. Now, many of the things I'll be talking about you will have already heard. They're things you already know. So why am I telling you what you already know? Why does a musician practice the same song over and over again? It's so that he'll be familiar with each and every note, so that he can recall it and play it without hesitation and without error. How often does a serious athlete work out, practicing the same exercises and the same physical movements over and over again? Once a month? Once a week? No, a serious athlete normally works out 6 days a week, allowing 1 day for rest. They intend for their movements to become like second nature, to become a part of who they are, so that they can recall them and repeat them without error, without hesitation, without even thinking about it. They understand that their athleticism will affect every area of their life, how they act, how they speak, how they carry themselves. They also expect that everyone around them will know what is most important to them, such as keeping themselves in peak condition. Now, anyone that practices a craft, such as a musician, an athlete, a doctor or lawyer, an artist, knows that as soon as they stop practicing, they will begin to become rusty. They will lose their edge. They will not be as good as they could be. Tell me, would you like to go to a doctor that's out of practice? No, of course not. You want someone that practices what they know on a regular basis. So, we, as the children of God, practice what we know about our Father and His Word regularly. We hide it in our heart so that it's always available to us, that we can recall it when we need it without error and use it as we need it in our everyday lives. We understand that what we know about Him as we practice it will affect every area of our lives, how we act, how we speak, how we carry ourselves. We know that the more time that we repeat what we know about Him, the more time that we spend with Him, the more like second nature it will become to us. So that when we need these words, we can recall them and use them without error. We know that everyone around us will realize what and who is most important to us. Now, when I begin to do a lesson, before I teach, I sit down and I ask our Father, what would you like to teach us, your children? His answer is always the same: teach my children that I love them. Now, whenever I started this lesson, after he said, teach my children that I love them, then he said, teach my children that I'm holy. Now, it must be very important to him that we understand just how much he loves us, since he tells me this every time. So, to talk about his holiness, in this lesson, we're going to begin at the beginning, Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God. Now, the Hebrew word for God here is Elohim, and it's plural. And it's not just plural in number, such as Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. It is plural in everything that He is, such as majesty, strength, and holiness. It means that He's more than. He's a more than God. He is more than capable of doing whatever needs to be done. He is more than capable of taking care of you. Whatever it is that you need Him to be and to have, He is more than. In Genesis, God's first recorded act, His first let there be, is light. How appropriate for the Father of light. But why light first? What does light do? Light reveals. Light illuminates. Light uncovers and makes visible. Light also makes life possible. What happens when you walk in a dark room and you're unable to find the light switch? You stumble around lost. You're not sure where you've been and where you're going, and you can't see the obstacles in your path. In darkness, there's uncertainty, fear, error, injury, and even death. So let's consider one of the lights our Father made, our sun. Now, because I'm a little bit of a science geek, I'm going to give you some facts about our sun. It will help us understand the immensity of who our God is and what He's capable of. The sun is 865,000 miles wide. In comparison, the Earth is less than 8,000 miles wide. It's 93 million miles from the Earth, yet it only takes just over 8 minutes for light to get from the sun to the Earth. So if something were to go wrong and the sun went dark, we would all know about it in just over 8 minutes. Its temperature can reach 27 million degrees, and it burns 600 million tons of hydrogen per second. Yet, it is just an average star. I have a question for you. What keeps the sun in place? What is it attached to? What is it hung on? The answer is nothing. It is what it is and does what it does because that's what our Father told it to do. He said, "Let there be light," and it became and did as He said, just like thousands and thousands of other stars. How much power does it take to keep this constantly burning, erupting ball of gas in place? Just the right place, keeping the distance between the sun and the earth consistent enough to support life on earth. How powerful is the God we serve? Now, scientists estimate that there are between 100 and 300 billion stars just in our Milky Way galaxy. And in the entire universe, some 70 sextillion stars. Now, 70 sextillion is a 7 with 22 zeros behind it. Now, if this is true, that means that it's possible that there are more stars in the universe than there are grains of sand on all of Earth's beaches and deserts. Now, I'm sure there will be someone that will contact me to say that some of these estimates are off. And they may be off a few trillion or a sextillion or so. But I think we can still use these numbers to understand who our God is and what He's capable of. Let's look at the variety and beauty of some of the rest of His creation. Estimates say that there are more than 8 million species on Earth, some 10,000 species of birds, and 33,000 species of fish that come in a myriad of sizes and colors. Our God is limitless. The same God that created the sun also created the delicate snowflake. The same God that created the whale also created the hummingbird in all his amazing delicacy. How is such diversity and beauty even possible? Isaiah 44:6 and 7 says, "I am the first and the last. Apart from me, there is no God. Who then is like me? Let him proclaim it. But there is no one. There is no one like our God, our Father, our Creator, is majestic and holy." Really, I don't think we even have words to convey who He truly is. I don't think we're even able to grasp and understand all that He is. Yet we treat who He is and what He has done as a common thing. The sun rises and sets every day, and we forget how wondrous that is. How can we be so amazed with our own industry, our own technology? How do we get so excited over the next smart TV? How did we become so enamored with our phones? Our phones. and yet forget about who God is and all his wonder and majesty and holiness. He is holy, and his holiness is fierce, relentless, limitless. So tonight, I want you to take some time and stare up at the stars and remind yourself of who our God is and how mighty is this God that we serve. Good day, and God bless.